There comes a moment in life when we wake up and simply can't. We can't feel that fire that once moved mountains. We can't find a reason to get out of bed with the same energy as before. It's as if a dense fog has settled between us and everything that once made us feel alive. Have you ever been in that place? That limbo where the things that should matter feel like they're made of papier-mâché? Where goals that once shined now seem dull, distant, almost unreal? Where you go through the days carrying an invisible weight no one else can see? That emptiness is not your enemy. It's not a sign of weakness, laziness, or personal failure. It's something much older and wiser whispering in your ear. Robert Johnson, in his deep understanding of the human psyche, teaches us that our soul has its own intelligence, a wisdom that sometimes needs to stop us in order to save us. When you feel like you're just surviving the days, when the things you're supposed to want to do become impossible mountains, when life seems to have lost its color, you are not broken. You are being called to something greater than your conscious mind can yet see. When motivation fades, it's not because something is wrong with you. It's because something is trying to be born through you. Lack of motivation is the first whisper of a transformation your mind doesn't yet understand. It's an invitation to a sacred pause, a moment of gestation before rebirth. Your emptiness is pregnant with possibilities you cannot yet see. There is an invisible director orchestrating your life, and you have no idea it exists. It works behind the scenes, moving pieces on the board of your reality while you believe you're in control. Robert Johnson dedicated decades of study to uncover this phenomenon he called the unconscious shadow. All those parts of ourselves that we reject, deny, or simply cannot see. Remember the times you said, "I would never be like that. That's not me," or "I can't stand that kind of person"? You were feeding that invisible director. Every rejected aspect doesn't disappear. It moves to the basement of your psyche, and from there continues to influence your choices, your relationships, your reactions. It's like banishing someone from your home, but still letting them live in the attic. And your shadow manifests too. It uses the same universal laws you try to consciously master, but it works with the energy of what you reject. It's like trying to drive a car while someone invisible is steering from the back seat. When you force motivation that doesn't resonate with your whole self, when you try to be only light while ignoring your complexity, when you push yourself to fit into molds that deny essential parts of who you are, the shadow responds with resistance, procrastination, self-sabotage. It's not doing this out of malice. It's doing it out of integrity. Your lack of motivation may be its way of saying, "Stop. You're trying to be someone we are not entirely. I need to be seen, honored, integrated." The shadow doesn't want to destroy your dreams. It wants to take part in them in an authentic, complete, real way. Do you know the story of the caterpillar that completely dissolves inside the cocoon? It doesn't simply grow wings. It turns into a shapeless goo, an undefined substance that has lost its former identity but hasn't yet discovered what it will become. I call this the sacred limbo. James Hillman, with the wisdom of someone who explored the mysteries of the psyche, teaches us that sometimes the soul needs to descend in order to rise. It needs to undo itself in order to be remade. And in this process of dissolution, all external motivation becomes irrelevant because you are no longer operating at the same frequency as before. This is the most misunderstood moment in the human journey. Our culture teaches us that stopping is failure, that hesitation is weakness, that questioning is a waste of time. But ancient truth whispers differently. Some births require a previous death. Some transformations ask you to accept not knowing who you are for a while. When you feel like you've lost the thread, when your old passions feel like the backdrop of an abandoned stage, when you look at your life and no longer recognize anything, you are not lost. You are in the imaginary soup. You are in the most important spiritual upgrade of your existence. The motivation you once knew belonged to the person you were. The one that is coming will belong to the person you are becoming. And between these two versions of yourself, there is this sacred limbo where everything feels suspended, where everything feels meaningless, where everything feels still. but nothing is still. Everything is being reorganized in a configuration your conscious mind cannot yet understand. Your soul is working on levels your personality doesn't have access to. Have you ever stopped to think that maybe you are manifesting exactly what you don't want? That your current life might be the perfect reflection not of your conscious desires, but of your unconscious fears? Universal laws do not distinguish between conscious and unconscious. They simply respond to the energy you emit, all of it. And here's what most people don't understand. You are always manifesting. Always. Even when you think you're doing nothing, even when you feel completely unmotivated. Think of it this way. You want to grow professionally, but deep down you hold a belief like, good people don't stand out, or success means becoming someone I despise. Consciously, you try your best, but unconsciously, you sabotage every opportunity because your psyche is protecting your identity. Or you want a relationship, but your shadow whispers, intimacy is dangerous, or I don't deserve to be loved. So you attract situations that confirm those hidden beliefs. Chronic lack of motivation is often the result of this inner conflict. It's like trying to drive with one foot on the gas and the other on the brake. You want to move forward, but part of you wants to stay safe in the familiar place. Robert Johnson said, "We cannot heal what we do not recognize." As long as your unconscious manifestations remain in the dark, they will keep creating the life you say you don't want. Repressed energy doesn't disappear. It turns into resistance, into repetitive patterns, into a constant feeling of swimming against the current. Your lack of motivation might be the first sign that it's time to make peace with these hidden parts. There is a vast difference between living the life you think you should live and living the life your soul came here to live. And your lack of motivation might be your internal GPS trying to redirect you to the right path. Robert Johnson called this process individuation, becoming who you truly are, not who the world, your family, or even you yourself think you should be. It's one of the most misunderstood concepts in psychology, because we confuse individuation with selfishness, when in fact it's the opposite. It's the courage to be authentic, even when that makes others uncomfortable. When you live a life that isn't yours, when you force motivations based on should instead of want, when you try to fit your wild soul into molds that are too civilized, something inside you simply stops. It stops cooperating. It stops pretending. It stops holding up the illusion. That stop is not laziness, it's wisdom. Your psyche is saying, I'm not going to keep spending energy supporting a life that doesn't belong to us. It's like your soul goes on strike until you agree to negotiate with your true self. Authentic motivation doesn't come from the outside in. It rises from the inside out. It's born when you stop trying to be perfect and start being real. When you stop chasing goals that shine for others but don't make your heart race. The spiritual awakening we seek is not some far-off mystical event. It's the moment you stop living someone else's life and start living your own. It's when you accept that your authenticity matters more than others' approval. Want to know how to recognize when your shadow is in charge of your manifestation? Pay attention to the patterns that keep repeating in your life. First sign, you work really hard, but the results never match the effort. It's as if there's an invisible force sabotaging your plans. You plant, water, take care of things, but the harvest never comes. Or when it does, something always goes wrong at the last moment. Second sign, you feel an unexplained resistance to doing things you know you need to do. It's not ordinary laziness. It's a kind of energetic weight that turns simple tasks into impossible mountains. You want to, but you can't. But you don't act. Third sign, you repeatedly attract situations and people that confirm your worst beliefs about yourself. If you believe, I don't deserve to be loved, the people who come into your life always end up abandoning you. If you believe success is only for others, opportunities always slip through your fingers. Fourth sign, you find yourself intensely judging in others what you deny in yourself. The anger you feel at someone's arrogance might be your own repressed arrogance asking to be acknowledged. The contempt you feel for others' vulnerability may be your own rejected sensitivity. Fifth sign, you live in cycles. You grow a little, then go back to the starting point. Your finances improve, then fall apart. You lose weight, then gain it back. It's as if there's an internal thermostat that pulls you back to your comfort zone whenever you try to leave it. Recognizing these patterns is not about blaming yourself. It's about setting yourself free. Integrating the shadow isn't about eliminating the parts of you that you consider bad. It's about making peace with them. It's about turning inner enemies into allies. And this requires a very different approach from what you're used to. The first practice is conscious inner dialogue. When you feel resistance to doing something important, instead of forcing yourself or judging yourself, pause. Ask internally, what part of me doesn't want to do this? What is it trying to protect me from? Listen without judgment. Sometimes you'll find that the resistance holds a wisdom your conscious mind can't yet see. The second practice is recognition without correction. When you catch yourself intensely judging someone, ask, where do I have this same trait that bothers me so much in them? Don't try to change it, just recognize it. The shadow doesn't want to be corrected. It wants to be seen. The third practice is inclusive manifestation. Instead of trying to manifest only from your best version, include your complexities. Want to grow professionally? Include in your intention both your ambition and your need for safety. Want a relationship? Honor both your desire for love and your fear of intimacy. The fourth practice is the sacred pause. When lack of motivation shows up, instead of fighting it, lean into it. Ask, what is this lack of energy trying to teach me? What part of my life needs to be rethought? Use your lack of motivation as a compass, not an enemy. The fifth practice is energetic forgiveness. Forgive yourself for not being perfect, for having shadow aspects, for not being able to stay constantly motivated. That self-compassion is the ground where true transformation happens. Remember, you're not trying to get rid of the shadow, you're learning to dance with it. There is a kind of motivation that comes from fear, the kind that pushes us away from what we're afraid of. And there is a kind of motivation that comes from love, the kind that pulls us toward what our soul recognizes as true. The difference between them is the difference between surviving and truly being alive. When you integrate your shadow, when you make peace with your complexities, when you stop trying to be perfect and start being whole, something extraordinary happens. Motivation stops being a force you have to create and becomes a natural current that flows through you. This new motivation doesn't come with anxiety or the need to prove anything to anyone. It rises from a deep place, like a spring bubbling from the ground effortlessly. You act not because you should, but because you simply can't help it. And even when lack of motivation visits again, because it's part of life's natural cycles, you won't panic. You'll know it's your soul asking for a pause, recalibrating, preparing for the next phase of growth. You will have learned to dance with all aspects of yourself, to manifest from your wholeness, to live with the courage to be imperfect and the wisdom to be true. And if these words touched something inside you, if you recognized your own journey in these reflections, leave a comment sharing your experience. Subscribe to the channel to follow more videos like this, and if this content lit something up for you, leave a like so more people can find their way back to themselves.